Live. We're live. Gotta give it a few seconds. Give it a few seconds. Give it just a little bit of time. We're gonna give it just a little bit of time. This is life. Gonna give it just a little bit of time. This is life. That's what I titled this. I don't know why. Because I'm living it, right? Living life. All right. Here we go. Okay. Living life. Hello, everyone. It's Tanisha Ronell, the special occasion, also known as Blessed and Moving Forward, also known as Nikki, and I'm grateful to be here. It's Tuesday, and we are live as promised. We have been going live. We first started off on Periscope, going live. Then we moved to Facebook, I believe in 2019. And now, due to unforeseen circumstances, we are live on YouTube. And I am happy to be here because I am grateful. I'm always grateful. Every time I come on, I have to say it. I'm so grateful. I really do have what they call an attitude of gratitude. I really do have that all around because um, every day is a gift. Even though us as special occasions, we know that we are presents. Our presence is a present. I am always so thankful and I'm always so grateful for every opportunity that I get to share the message of the special occasion. And it always means so much to me on any platform. Any platform, it doesn't matter where, doesn't matter who with, it doesn't matter how many. I'm always grateful to share the message of the special occasion. And of course, I'm not going to be before you long tonight, but this is life is basically what my topic was. So it's like so many things happen, and I was having a conversation with my sister, and she was sharing with me some things that had been going on with her excuse me, and some disappointments that she had faced. And then I thought about some of the disappointments that I had recently faced, and I had to remember that, like, sometimes we have this black and white idea about the fact that, this is the right thing to do, so this is what you should do. This is the right thing to do, so this is what you should do. But one thing that I always say is what you should do, the right thing to do, and what we should do, and what we do usually live on opposite sides of the street. They do not, and there the twain shall meet. We don't always do what we're supposed to do, and it's just a fact of life. It's just life. People will prove to you that that their hearts are not in the right place. People will prove to you that they are evil. People will prove to you that they have their own agendas. At the end of the day, when we talk about people having their own agendas, even though it is true, 100% true. People are out for themselves. But at the end of the day, we all have our own agendas. There's something within all of us that we just, come on now. People do what they want to do, no matter what. People do what they want to do, when they want to do it, how they want to do it, and with whom they want to do it. Exclusions. We are not excluded from that. It is just life. And because of that, we have to remember there may be times when we don't feel like doing something, but with the right motivation, be it money or something in it for us, we'll do exactly what we don't feel like doing because of the fact that there's something in it for us, hence our own agendas, right? Then we think about our relationships, right? In our relationships, a lot of times we want what we want and we want it now. It's my relationship, it's my friendship, it's my whatever, and I want it now. And what happens is because we want it now and we figure we're entitled to it, we're not thinking about the other person. We're not thinking about the fact that that other person has wants, that other person has needs, and we may not be living up to our fullest potential as far as they're concerned, but we're sitting around mad. We're sitting around mad because they're not meeting our needs, but we're not doing anything to meet their needs. It isn't fair, right? But this is life because what? Life is not fair. We learn this lesson just a little bit more every single day. But when you are a person, and this is what I said to my sister and to my good friend, um, what happens is when people show you who they are, and it's not good, when they show you a side of themselves that is just heartbreaking and disappointing to you, the little bit of innocence that you have left, it feels like it just chips away at it. It chips away at the little bit of, hey Tiff, mwah. It chips away a little bit at the innocence. It chips away at at the little bit of innocence that you have left. You always want to believe in the good in people. You want to believe that someone somewhere still has a good heart. You want to still believe that someone wants to do right by you. You still want to believe that the heart that you have or that you feel you have is the heart that other people have, but it's just not the case, unfortunately. So, what we have to do is we still have to remain the good people that we are. We cannot allow people's evil actions to dictate ours, because then you compromise who you are because you gave someone else the power to make you change who you are. If you are a good and decent and considerate person, always be a good and decent, considerate person. Do not let someone else's shortcomings or self absorbed agendas cause you to not be that good and good hearted person. Because someone still needs that. Someone still needs that. And not just that, you want to walk around and know that you still have a good heart, that you are different than the people who don't have, necessarily the right agendas. You still want to know that you're going to do the right thing, even when everyone else is not so much doing the right thing. I've never been a tit for tat kind of person. And I do hear, a lot of people will say things like, well, he did it to me or she did it to me, so blah, blah, blah. And I've just never been that person. I've never been one to tit for tat. I've always been one that's wanted to own my stuff, and if you tell me that I hurt you, I want to know that I can fix it. I want to know that I can make it better. I want to know that, hey, you said that I hurt you. I don't want to know that I hurt you. Excuse me. I want to make sure that we're on the up and up. I want to apologize. I want to ask for forgiveness. I want to do all those things. But a lot of people, they don't necessarily feel like they have to. A lot of people don't necessarily feel like they need to. If they hurt you, it's because you hurt them. And they feel like you got what you deserve. But the way that I feel is no one on this earth has the power to punish me for my sin. No one has because that means that you would have a heaven or a hell to put me in. And no one that walks this earth has that. I'm just saying. You don't have a heaven or a hell to put me in. So you don't have a right to, you really don't. You don't have a right to punish me for my sin. And I don't have a right to punish you for yours, because I don't have a heaven or a hell to put you in either. And when it comes down to it, a lot of times we make ourselves the judge and the jury because of the fact that we've been hurt and we've been validated by our hurt. And because it hurts so bad, and because you hurt me so bad, I'm validated in my get back. I'm validated in my in my vengefulness. And in all actuality, you really only hurting yourself, because the one thing that I said to my sister, I said, is God can get him back better than you can. Now, I'm not saying you can't be upset. I'm not saying you can't even fuss them out. I'm not saying that you can't. Listen, you can talk about your hurt and your pain, get it out. You can feel how you feel. It is fine. It is fine. When you are hurt and when someone's done you wrong, absolutely. But a lot of times, what will help you with through that is to know and understand that you have hurt people too. You have let someone down too. You have fallen short too. Also, as well, Tam Yang, you have hurt someone. You're not perfect, and neither am I. This is life. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's just like a man could go out and he could screw everybody if he wanted to. He could just be promiscuous all he wants, and he looks like the man. But if a woman does it, she's now portrayed as, the whore. She's portrayed as, my father used to say, a man can do it and smell up come up smelling like roses. A woman will do it and she'll smell like fish. And I'm like, but that's not nice. I'm like, that's not nice. None of it is nice. But that's life, right? That's the way of the world. And one thing that I know just by reading the scriptures in the Bible is that there was sexism before there was racism. So before it was a distinction between my skin and your skin, it was my gender and your gender, and women being seen as less than or lesser than. So that's why we still have these records that are being broken. The first woman to do this, the first woman to do that, the first woman to do this, the first woman to do that. You really don't have any firsts too much anymore of a man doing a lot of things because the men have done it, right? And then you also, now you're going into the whole first black man, first Asian man, first Latin X man, first, this man, first 7 foot man or whatever. You don't find that men are having many firsts. So we still, as women, we're still breaking through. You know what I mean? Life is not fair. It's just not fair. And when you think about it, how you navigate it and what your mindset is, what your mindset is about all of it will determine how you navigate it. I feel like we talk about like the NBA and women in the NBA, right? And I think I heard Chris Rock say it. Was it Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle? It was probably Dave Chappelle talking about how you have people who want to cross the gender lines in sports. So if that's the case, then it shouldn't be men's basketball or women's basketball. It should just be basketball, right? Just basketball. Just let everybody play. And then we don't have to worry about the gender lines and the gender gaps and the gender this and the women doing this and we shouldn't have to worry about that. That shouldn't have to be an issue, right? Because of the fact that if we want to erase it all, but me personally, I know that a man's physical makeup is stronger than a woman's in most cases. Physically, not saying that us as women that we can't do what a man can do, but it's just like their lung capacity. They can sing bigger and louder than we can. That's why in most cases in a choir you don't have quite as many tenors as you do sopranos and altos, and they still sound like it's 50 tenors because men have bigger lungs and bigger lung capacity, so they can project more and they can project bigger. So it's like when we talk about those things, we don't always take all those things into consideration. So it's like naturally in certain things, that's just how it turns out to be. Now, there are certain things that a woman is going to do or can do probably better than most men. I'm not saying that men can't do what women can do. We can all do what we can all do. I'm just putting it out there because life isn't fair. It's not. It's just like having to go to work. Having to go to work every day. Every day I gotta go to work every day. And sometimes, there are times when there have been some things that have been asked of me that just were not fair. But when I look it up to find out whether or not it's fair, and I'm told that it's at my manager's discretion, it's up to them to decide whether or not I can do it. It's like, well, dang, that ain't fair. Why? And I already know their discretion is against me. You know what I mean? So it's not fair. But the thing about it is that at the end of the day, we all still have choices. We can choose. Now, the choices that we have are not always the choices we want to make. Let me throw that out there right quick. The choices that we have, the choices that are presented to us are not always the choices that we want to make. They are just not. And because of that, that's what makes having choices complicated. Because when you have a choice to do something and it's not the choice that you want to make, it's like, no, I don't have to deal with what's going on at work. I can quit. You got something lined up? You got a job lined up? You got funds lined up? You got enough money in the bank? You got enough money invested? You started a business, it's making money already? Uh I mean, have you thought this through? Because you can quit. You can quit. You can quit right now. But we already know statistically that many homes are one or two paychecks away from being homeless. I'm not saying that's your situation because you're a special occasion. You can do whatever you want to do. But we want to make sure that we're still walking in wisdom. Wisdom. We still have to walk in wisdom. In wisdom. And it's not going to always be easy, right? But sometimes you got, if you want an omelet, you got to break some eggs, which means, okay, until you get the business off the ground, you have to stay at that job a little bit longer. Till you can make a little bit more money on that business, you might have to stay at the job a little bit longer. Let the job fund your business. When it's all said and done, right? When it's all said and done, when it's all said and done, we still have choices that we can make. They're not always. It's been so many times when I've been in situations where it's like I'm frustrated. I can walk away, but is that going to help me? Is that going to be better for me? Is that going to do it for me? Maybe not. Probably not. So you got to think it through, right? You got to think it through. And on top of that, let me tell you about what we talked about last week about trusting your gut and in your na. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you right and now. I had about 3 different situations where I did not trust my gut just in these past 7 days. You wouldn't believe it. 3 different situations. And that went to show me that I had not been. That's why I'm so glad I did that broadcast last week, because it showed me that I had not already been listening to my na. And now I know. I'm a little bit more acquainted with it, a little bit more familiar with what it is that my na is saying to me, when it's saying to me, and how. So I had a few situations. There was one in which I knew that we had something coming up, and there was some place I wanted to go eat on a Saturday, my favorite place to eat. And I didn't think about the fact that it would be a wait. And something had told me that I needed to call ahead to make sure that I had a table, and I didn't. And tried to do it last minute, and it just didn't work. And I winded up eating food that I liked, but it wasn't necessarily what I wanted that much at that moment. Just awful. So I had a few situations and circumstances. So that is a learned behavior. It's something learned. It's something that we have to practice at, something we have to learn to listen to and get acquainted with. So that's what that comes down to. It really does. But this is life, right? You learn. It's a part of life. You learn how to listen to what your gut is saying. You learn people. You learn that everyone is the same. Like, I remember that song Ebony and Ivory, right? Y'all remember Ebony and Ivory with Stevie Wonder and Paul McCartney? And what Paul McCartney said is, we all know that people are the same wherever you go. There is good and bad in everyone. We learn to live, and we learn to give each other what we need to survive. Together alive. That right there is so true. It's so true. There's good and bad in everyone. And I think that we know that there's good and bad in us, but it just seems so much worse when we see it in someone else, especially someone we believe in. But let me let you know something. The person that you think is the most perfect is not perfect. The person who, that person who you say, oh, they would never do that. They would do that. They would. Oh, they would never. They have the capacity and the ability to do exactly what you believe that they would never do. Just like you. Just like me. You know what I'm saying? Oh, thank you, honey. Thank you, honey. Absolutely. Just like you. Just like you. Just like me. Just like you. Just like me. We have to be so very cognizant of the fact that we are imperfect. And all the people, like when we look at the people in the Bible who did such amazing things that we just idolize, in so many words, that we just think were so great, that we just think were so amazing, that we just think, oh, and They were flawed, just like us. David was a man after God's own heart, and David was flawed, just like us. And I'm not just only talking about him having that man killed after he got his wife pregnant. There were other things that David did that were not necessarily just in character. You know what I mean? Just in character. So the reason why it's so good to know how human they were, the reason why it's good for us to know how human they were is because it helps us to know that we can still achieve extraordinary accomplishments in the midst of our humanity and in the midst of being flawed, perfectly flawed. We are all special occasions. We are all special occasions, and we can do amazing things, but we are imperfect. We are imperfect, and the people that we love the most are imperfect as well. So the grace you give to yourself, give to somebody else. Everyone is not going to do it the way that you want them to do it. Everyone is not going to be perfect. They're just not. They're just not. But what is going to happen is you're going to get to a place where you're going to get to a place where you'll begin to see just a little bit more of the insides of people. And it's going to hurt at first, but then you're going to realize, but what about me? When it hurts, get to that place where you say, but what about me? What about me? What about when I was the person who did this or did that? What about when I was the person who hurt someone? Because I know I have hurt people and I've had to ask for forgiveness and I have had to apologize. And I don't mind apologizing. You know, I want to because I want to make it right. But what happens is we have to learn to point the gun on ourselves in a lot of cases. Because we put you fall in love with somebody and you think they can do no wrong. Oh my God. You fall in love with them and you don't even believe they poop stink. You don't believe they're capable of smelling or stinking. But you know what happens? But you know what happens? Guess what happens? Guess what happens? They stink. They smell. They have morning breath. They have boogers in their eyes and wax in their ears and all the other stuff. They are human just like you. It's okay for you to have boogers in your eyes, but not them. Come on now. Let's extend some grace. This is life. No, it's not fair, but you can be fair in the midst of an unfair life. You can still be a fair person in the midst of an unfair life. Make the best of it though. This is life. And there are going to be so many things and so many situations that we will see where we will know and understand that it's not fair. It's not fair. But life just isn't fair. It's not fair that my mother passed away. I can be so mad about it at times, but when it's all said and done, she's not coming back. Not on this earth. I miss my mother. I want her here, but I can't have her here. It's not fair. But life isn't fair. Life isn't fair. So I want us to take these things into consideration because as special occasions, it's so important for us as special occasions to know and understand that we are flawed and that life is not fair. Be kind to other people. Be kind to yourself. Celebrate yourself as a special occasion and know that you are a special occasion. See yourself through God's eyes. Love yourself through his heart. Be the best person that you can be. Be as fair as you can be in this unfair life, in the midst of this unfair life. Do the best that you can. But remember to extend the same grace to others that you extend to yourself. Being a special occasion is not about being selfish. It's not about only thinking about yourself. It's about loving yourself, cherishing yourself, making yourself a priority, but not making yourself the only priority. It's so important. It's so very important. So I hope this message has reached you where you are. I hope it's touched you in the place that you needed for it to touch. This replay will be up. It'll stay on this page. And if you want to catch it afterward, I hope you do. Let me know what you thought. Let me know how you feel about this topic. And I hope and pray that I get to see you next Tuesday because we will be here every single Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Thank you so much for joining me. Look forward to hearing from me. Please go to my website, TanishaRonay.com, and subscribe. Please subscribe. I would love for you to subscribe so you can get some emails. I don't send a whole lot of them. I've just been sending them recently since we made a change. So just recently, I've been sending out emails. I promise you, I will not send you a bunch of emails, but just go to the website, fill out the little pop up, and just ask you for your name and your email address. And none of that stuff will be shared, I promise. But I would love to keep in touch with you, okay? TanishaRonay.com. Catch me next Tuesday, same time, same station. We will be here. I am a special occasion, and so are you. I don't have to know you to love you, but I do so very much. Please be. Oh, I'm so glad. Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. We'll be back next Tuesday, same time, same station. Tell a friend, bring a friend. You are a special occasion. Be blessed and keep it moving forward. Mwah! Love you.